Hey, welcome to episode 100 and something of the Brink of Sanity.
100 and something?
100 and something.
Wow.
Yep. I'm stockpiling episodes, so I don't actually know what number this one's going to be.
Nice.
Because I have this crazy plan in my head to actually take a vacation, but it's probably not going to happen. But just in case, I want to get an extra episode.
You want to just do the show on the road?
I could barely run the show from my computer. You're asking way too much of me. Anyway, we got Marc here today.
Hey, what's up?
And new to the show, the Rockstar. How's it going, man?
That's right. The one and only Rockstar here for your entertainment.
Professional wrestler, folks.
An actual professional wrestler.
Oh, the show's going to get a little professional today.
Yeah. We're going to do a professional interview with the professional wrestler.
This is pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited. I love wrestling.
I'm excited also. I mean, just because of you guys. Your excitement is oozing onto me.
I am blushing. So thanks for joining us on this extremely hot day. I love doing podcasts when I can't use the air conditioner. That makes it, so much more pleasant.
I kind of like the sweat. I kind of like how my shirt sticks to my body. It's so comfortable.
Yeah, if you're watching live on the show, I apologize.
If you're watching on live, you'll see I'm actually sitting on Jay's lap. We make sure it sweats. We sweat even more. Yeah,
we cuddle. So I guess we have a bunch of questions we wanted to ask you. We were pretty big. I don't know about you. I was a pretty big wrestling fan back in the day, which for me was many, many days ago. But,
yes.
Very into it, and haven't really been keeping up lately. But from what I've seen, it looks like your league seems to be a little bit more interesting than what the WWE has become.
Well, why tell us how you got your start? That would be actually...
Yeah, we'll start from the beginning. How about that?
Well, it all started when I was getting booked with my band to be the entertainment during wrestling shows, during intermissions. And my brother started wrestling, and after a while kind of dragged me into it for a few spots on the shows. Next thing you know, I had an opportunity to work a couple of big-name guys, some guys from the 1980s that you guys might know, like Brutis the Barber, Beefcake, and such. And
you wrestled with him?
I wrestled Brutis the Barber, Beefcake.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I had a little issue with him that actually dated back to the 1980s. It was 1989, and they were in town for SummerSlam. And I was at JFK International Airport, a young rock star. And by baggage claim, who should I see? None other than Brutis the Barber, Beefcake, and Hulk Hogan. So I was an excited little boy, and of course I wanted an autograph. And Brutus Beefcake looked at me and said, "Get lost, kid."
Whoa.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Wow.
Then you
when I got my opportunity to wrestle Brutus Beefcake, I really took advantage of that.
That's great. I didn't know he was a dick in real life. He was one of my favorites growing up, actually.
Well, I think he's actually still kind of mad about what went down during the match. So
what happened during the match?
Well, I was a little rougher on him than apparently a lot of the guys that he usually wrestles against. So he's got a little bone to pick. He doesn't want to wrestle me anymore.
So what do you do to be rougher? Because it's predetermined who's actually going to win. So
right.
So what do you do to in the match
It's called being stiff or taking liberties, and he accused me of taking some liberties with him as far as maybe hitting a move a little harder than normal. But in my mind, it was just a standard match. I think that he's just getting old and should probably hang it up.
So do people take it easier on the older wrestlers because they have that notoriety?
I think so. I mean, look at it like this. When now I'm standing in the ring and I hear the entrance music to Brutis the Barber, Beefcake. So not only am I still a fan, I have to separate that and be professional. So, I mean, there's a level of nervousness there that comes into play, and you kind of realize this is about to happen. I'm about to wrestle, Brutis the Barber, so.
So, the movie The Wrestler, which I'm guessing you've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, how accurate is that? Is it totally off base, or is it
I would say that is the most accurate movie about wrestling that I've ever seen.
You think it's more accurate than No Holds Barred?
Oh. Well, with not I would prefer that if Zeus did come in, that maybe I would. have to get revenge for him paralyzing my younger brother. I mean, I understand the anger that might fall into play there, but you know, as far outside of the movie No Holds Barred, the most accurate wrestling film to date would be The Wrestler.
Is Zeus in the Expendables?
If he's not, he should be.
Because it's, I know it's all like the washed up 80s action stars.
Yeah.
There's this gigantic black guy in the poster.
And when you speak of washed up 80s stars, please don't refer to Dolph Lundgren as washed up. I just want to.
I'm a huge Dolph Lundgren fan.
When you say washed up, it normally refers to someone who had been big.
That's true. Somebody who had more than 14 lines in a feature film.
What was his one movie?
I must break you.
Break you. He had one movie where he was like an action star.
Yeah, I didn't really watch anything outside of Rocky IV because I didn't want to take anything away from the Drago character. So
ruin the stigma. I don't think anybody in Hollywood wanted to take away from the Drago character.
How long had your brother been doing it before you?
He actually started when he was young. When he was about 17, he did it for a couple of years, but then he realized he was too young. And I mean, when you're wrestling at that age against adults, he didn't stand a chance. He got back into it for probably about a year, maybe 2 years before I got into it. And I put on a lot of size. You know, I hit the gym really hard. And, you know, when I found out that I would have the opportunity to wrestle a lot of those guys, I kind of took it a lot more seriously. So
let me ask you, like high school, what was how tall are you, and how much did you weigh in high school?
Okay, high school, I was always pretty tall. I was about 6'2" in high school, my senior year, but I weighed about 170 pounds.
Okay, so pretty average, I guess.
That's pretty thin.
It's pretty thin, actually, yeah.
I was pretty thin. And then I naturally got up to about 195, maybe 200, if even that, a few years ago. Then after I hit the gym without doing steroids, and I'm not even opposed to them, but I haven't done them, just working out, I got up to about 240. So
wow.
Over the course of about 2 years.
So how often do you have to work out? Or how often do you
work out 4 days a week.
For like a couple hours?
I do about an hour and a half workout.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah,
so, I mean, for 4 days a week, you know, to have big muscles, it worked out well for me.
I'm starting to feel real shitty about myself.
You do look terrific, though. I just wanted to say, I've seen the pictures. You look terrific.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
The question I had was, when you come up with your name and, you know, basically your personality, is that something that's 100% you, or when you go into wrestling, is there somebody who like kind of scopes you out and like kind of nudges you in the right direction?
For me, I already had the character built in because it was based on the fact that I was in a rock and roll band. So they took that and they said, you know, they just kind of turned the character. And when I first came in, I was a heel, which means a bad guy. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I came in, so I had to kind of, shift the character around. What it was, the promoters of the show and my brother helped invent the character. And it was based on the fact that I was in a rock and roll band. So they gave me the name, the Rockstar, and they used my full name, which is Douglas Balch. So I was the Rockstar Dougie Balch. Mm-hmm. And then later on, with advice from Jake the Snake Roberts, just kept it as the Rockstar, kind of how as like the Undertaker was just the Undertaker, mm-hmm. you know. But the whole persona was already built in, and I just kind of developed it over time. Like in the early days when I first came out, I didn't have the exact confidence and the cockiness and the attitude that the Rockstar of today has, and it's still a work in progress. But I feel like I really understand the character now.
Mm-hmm.
When Jake the Snake gave you advice, was he like, well, here's like my second thing I say to you. The first thing is you can carry around an orangutan, and that would make you big.
It's all about props.
How many snakes has he gone through? I kind of wonder.
Well, actually, none of the snakes were actually his. Each territory that they wrestled a show in, a promoter or someone involved in the company would get their hands on a snake for him to bring down. So it was almost always a different snake that he brought down to the ring.
Oh.
A lot of people don't know that, and I don't mean to, ruin people's visions of Damien, but
No, I don't think that's like rooting Santa for anyone.
Right?
It would be really funny if you went to a place that just didn't have snakes, and it was like for 1 week he was like Jake the Marmot.
And that has happened. And actually, in New York, you have to have a special permit to have the snake. And there was times where they weren't able to get a permit, and that they didn't have the snake for the show. But those usually weren't the televised matches. Usually for TV, someone was pretty adamant about getting a snake.
Mm-hmm. When I think of the wrestler, that's who I think of, Jake the Snake.
It's actually a very, very similar comparison. And I mean, and Jake's life is probably even more dramatic than what was in the film. So,
really?
Yeah, I heard he went through some serious shit. But
serious. And I mean, just with the addictions and the loss of, his family, that, I mean, he did it all to himself.
Mm-hmm.
Just he was probably somewhat in mind when they wrote that film, I would think. So
yeah, I would think so too. Do you feel bad throwing him around? How old? He's pretty old now, right?
He's actually only I think he just had his 54th birthday.
Really?
So isn't that like 10 years? 10 years longer than most wrestlers live.
But that means he was pretty young when he was big.
Wow.
I mean, he was only in his probably 30s at the time when he was at the peak of his career.
I guess the mustache made him look older. I always pictured him as like 45.
So how do they? So that's like because it's all predetermined. Someone has to determine that they think you should go to the top or you should become a champion. How does that whole how do the marketing people decide who's going to be big and who's not going to be big?
It's a lot of trial and error, and the bigger you are with the audience, I mean, they decide everything basically. So if you go out there and nobody cares, then you're not going to get a push. If you go out there and the place goes crazy, of course they'll put you in more of the matches. So it's basically determined by your level of popularity or how high.
So if I can get enough fans to say they want Betty White to kick your ass, that would happen.
That fight would kick my ass if enough fans wanted that to happen.
That was what it must be really hard to start out, because I always remember it was like Hulk Hogan versus Jim Reynolds.
Yeah.
And Jim Reynolds will just get thrown around for 10 seconds.
Yeah, and actually, they've done away with a lot of them. They were called jobbers, and they were the no-name guy. Like you'd have the Ultimate Warrior versus Dave Jones. Mm-hmm. So who's going to win. I mean, guys come out and, he's got all kinds of things hanging off of his arm, face paints, and then you got,
no theme music.
The guy named after your janitor in your high school.
Right.
He's wearing a t-shirt and jean shorts.
He looks like he just got the job.
Right. I saw the Ultimate Warrior documentary, and
there's a documentary?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh.
There's
the Ultimate Warrior. It's actually really good.
There's one match where he literally runs in, picks the guy up, slams him down, and pins him. It's like a 3-second match. It's the funniest thing.
That's awesome.
Well, in those days, those guys were hired to showcase the major talent. But nowadays, people kind of figured it out, whereas it's kind of boring.
Well, I remember it used to be like every Saturday I'd watch, and it'd be the main event, and they would be it's 6 matches where it's just the showcasing the one guy kicking the crap out of some doofus, and then it'd have one match where it's 2 good guys against each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And nowadays they realize that wouldn't sell anymore. So now every week is a big name against a big name.
Oh, okay.
I like that better.
Who's the biggest? Is Jake the Snake, I guess, the biggest name you ever thought?
I would say so in my mind. I've worked a couple guys like Beefcake, Sabu, Balls Mahoney, but I would say that the biggest name, is Jake the Snake Roberts. I mean, I consider him a legend.
Have you beaten any of these guys?
I beat Jake the Snake Roberts, yes.
Wow.
That's awesome.
How good did that feel?
It felt pretty good, actually. It was. I was the only person to ever actually defeat Jake the Snake Roberts on the independent wrestling circuit. So, I mean, these guys usually don't allow you to go over, and it meant a lot. It was kind of like him kind of passing the torch to me a little bit, as the new generation, that he allowed it to happen, and it was an honor.
Do you ever these matches when you're fighting a guy like say Beefcake, and you're predetermined you're gonna lose? Do you ever think let's just beat him? I can fucking take this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes through your mind, but as a professional, I mean, you don't want to do that. And if you did something like that, you got to think you wouldn't get booked in that territory again, or you'll carry that reputation that you don't listen.
Yeah.
You know.
Does that ever happen?
It's happened. I'm sure it's happened a lot, and I mean, you'll see a lot of fights in the locker room about something that happened out there, and a lot of times, sometimes on this level in the ring, it'll turn ugly. But those are the guys that are probably, not going to advance. I mean, their careers are pretty limited, I would think, if they're not able to remain professional.
So when let's say you have a fight with some guy, and like it's a big brutal fight, and you guys are like maybe like bleeding afterwards, like it's a pretty brutal fight. I mean, is it still like, is there any animosity afterwards, even though it's like it's all like play, or is it like or afterwards you guys grab a beer together?
Look at it like this. I mean, if you know the guy, then you'll probably be cool with him. But there's times you're up against another man, and you're in character and tempers are flaring. So there definitely could be, you could lose it pretty easily. And there's definitely a lot of times where, you don't like the guy maybe that you're working against, and you just gotta try to keep professional. At least that's what I do anyway. So,
what's your move?
My finishing move is called the Stairway to Heaven. The Stairway to Heaven.
Nice.
Did you ever think about, for your fairway finishing move, actually finishing on their face?
I thought about it, but that would be, I'm not sure if that would go over with the 18 and under crowd.
So what is the stairway move?
It's a tilt-a-whirl side slam. So they kind of ride up a little spin move there, and it kind of looks like, maybe descending a staircase. So the stairway to heaven. Now on bigger guys, like, guys that aren't able to take that, like Jake Roberts, for example, he wouldn't be able to take that move. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I do the Rockstar splash, so kind of big splash off the top ropes.
Okay.
Old school Superfly Jimmy Snuka style.
That's right.
What's the worst thing that's happened to you, like injury or like or something you screwed up during a match?
I was actually working Earl Cooter, and there was a series of moves that, for some reason, my brain froze, and I didn't execute them correctly. He just came over and started chopping the shit out of me. Can I say that on the air?
Yeah, no, it's uncensored show.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, he was like, the Ric Flair chops, but I mean, they were legit, and he just kind of.
He was pissed because you missed the move.
Right. So he figured his best way was just to, completely attack me in there, which I kind of took for a minute, and then we resumed the match. So.
Is it bad form to like cry there?
Yeah, that probably would. I'll try it.
I would love to see that. Somebody just sort of bawling.
You really hit me.
Yeah, that really hurt.
What's the worst injury you've sustained?
I broke my hand.
That's it?
Well,
I mean, that's not bad.
No, it doesn't feel good. That's it. You want to try it?
I break my hand every weekend just for the feel of it.
And actually, I was. We were booked to wrestle at a bachelor party. It was for a friend, and we came out. I came out to save a stripper who was naked in the ring.
This sounds awesome.
I think I saw this movie.
Yeah. From a violent, after, of course, doing about, 10 to 15 shots previous, we went into the ring, and I ran in to save her and went off the top rope to execute the splash and kind of missed and landed only on my hand.
Oof.
Oh, God.
I kind of big splashed my own hand, and it didn't really work out too well. Then later in the evening, I continued to sing in the microphone to her butthole. So, I mean, it wasn't a total loss, really.
Best bachelor party ever.
So there are there are a decent amount of independent leagues out there, right?
Yes, there are.
So, like, what percentage? Let's just guess. What percentage of people actually can earn a living off of this?
I would say probably 5%.
It's pretty. Do you earn? Do you have to work doing something else, or are you fully earn a living doing this?
I'm in the entertainment business, and I do other things as far as acting, and I do the band thing, and I do the wrestling thing. So right now, I'm able to not have to work a 9-to-5 job and get by. I mean, I'm getting by, not comfortably, but I'm doing okay.
Hey, it's better than I'd rather be doing that myself.
I was curious. There's nothing about your salary or anything you're earning, but like, so someone like, just say someone that joins wrestling and someone's like a newcomer. What do they earn initially? What do they get per match or something like that?
They would probably get about $50 a match, if they're lucky. I mean, at the way it is right now, some people are lucky if they even get on the show, let alone get paid for it. So I mean, if somebody's actually a good worker, you could probably right now get $50 a match. The longer you're in, and the more fans you get, and the bigger deal it is that you're on the show, the better you get paid. Plus, if you're working guys like some of the legends like Jake Roberts or Beefcake or those kind of guys, you're going to get a little extra. So
Right.
I'm sure now that you beat like Roberts, that makes like your big name for you now.
Yeah, that was a big win. So on my, so now in other federations and stuff, they would look at, my potential to, draw a crowd or whatever. So
Do you find people ever recognize you?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can actually get like
it's not on a big level. It's wrestling fans. So I mean,
hey, it's still
it's not
something.
like I can't go to to Walmart and without being harassed, because that's not the case.
Well,
But
not yet, anyway.
I do find in Walmart that there are a lot of wrestling fans.
Yeah, that seems to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So is like you could get potentially recruited by other leagues now?
Yeah, so I'm out there. I'm available to be booked by other leagues. So if they feel like it's worth having me in for one of their matches, they'll have me in.
So your league you're in now is called the
Fight the World.
Fight the World.
Yep.
Right.
And so the top ones now. I mean, I assume like WWE, is that still around?
WWE is the top, and I would say TNA would be right underneath it.
And that's tits and ass.
Total nonstop action.
Oh, okay.
That's actually run by a lot of former WWE superstars, most notably Kevin Nash.
Oh,
Okay.
is Hogan still wrestling?
Hogan is now part of TNA, yes.
I saw him at the gym once. Honestly, I was the Gold's Gym in New York City. My buddy was like, "Hey, isn't that Hulk Hogan?" I'm like, "That's not Hulk Hogan." Then I turned around, I was like, "Oh, that's Hulk Hogan." He's fucking enormous.
Yeah, he's hard to miss. He was the only guy that didn't get dwarfed by Andre the Giant back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys,
Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, you want to do a top 5?
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
do
so
the
we're
top five.
going to
Let's do
talk about
the
top 5 all-time wrestlers, and we say all-time wrestlers, we mean prior to 1992, because we don't really know any after.
Well, a lot of the new ones, like, it's just like a normal, like, it's a person's name and they're wearing, like, a Speedo. Like,
Well, I mean, as far as new wrestlers, I'm my favorite new wrestler. So,
well,
is it a
mine,
new,
too.
like, theme that, like, you have to really make it big as a wrestler, you have to murder your family? And
that
Too soon,
that's
too
an
soon.
option. I mean, that's the route that some people take,
Yeah, I just find, like, a lot of the wrestlers today are, I like the gimmick, like the...
It's a new generation. I mean, it really is. And the more off-the-wall things aren't going to work because the fan base isn't going to buy into it. So,
what wrestler would you say, obviously not yourself, but like you admire most now?
currently,
Yeah.
I mean, again, we're talking like an old school guy. So like currently it would be like The Undertaker. That's the longevity, that's the professionalism.
Well, I guess who not from our youth?
Okay, that's in there now. I would say, well, again, then we're talking about a friend of mine. So, I mean, it's hard to make that separation. But Ron the Truth Killings is a friend of mine, and he's kind of given me a lot of advice, and he's helped out a lot of people. So I think he's somebody that I admire. I mean, and I wouldn't want to say that I would admire somebody that I didn't know personally, because behind closed doors, who knows? So.
Have you thought about, as just a suggestion, throwing this out there, as a way to like throw your career to the next level, just violently attacking The Rock?
I'm not opposed to it. So if I do come, you know what? I'm going to do that. Next time I see The Rock, I'm actually going to kick his ass. So.
Hey, does Goldberg still wrestle? I remember seeing it once. Like there was a wrestler called Goldberg, and I guess Big Scary Jew was the.
Yeah, he's retired, and he actually is now a host for UFC.
Okay, so he's not the guy that owns the bagel place down the street.
He might be part owner of Goldberg's Bagels.
Okay, so let's do the top 5 wrestlers.
I got to give honorable mention. If we're going to do top 5, I still have to give the honorable mention to Andre the Giant.
That's a good one.
Top 5. There's no why honorable mention. Why is not top 5?
Well, because I have a top 5 already picked out.
Okay.
I'm I didn't know if it was up for debate, but I was.
We can let's have it to the debate. But throw yours out first, I guess.
Well, no, we'll do. We'll all do number 5, and then we'll all do number 4. I almost had Andre the Giant strictly for Princess Bride.
Yeah,
but then I realized that doesn't really count for wrestling. But still love the guy.
Yeah. Do you think if there was no Andre the Giant, the Earthquake would be more remembered?
You lost me on that.
You don't know the Earthquake?
He's the one who actually, I think his most memorable thing is when he squashed Jake Roberts' snake.
Was that the guy with the big ass who would just sit on people?
Yeah, that was his big move.
Yeah,
I'm going to sit on you.
Actually, I think you might be thinking of Yokozuna.
That's who I'm thinking of, yes. Yeah, I did not like that at all.
Is there a big Afghani wrestler or like a Taliban, like a Al-Qaeda wrestler people hate now?
I still think the Iron Sheik would have to be the most hated.
Oh, okay.
That region. I think it's a regional thing.
And he's still around, right?
He's still around, and
that's amazing.
He is on the next FTW show. You can see the Iron Sheik.
When is that?
That's September 11th in Ronkonkoma.
He actually
Center Island Sports.
I don't know if you listen to Howard Stern show. Do you ever listen to Howard Stern show?
I haven't in a while since the switch to satellite radio, but previous to that, I was a big fan.
So the Iron Sheik has been on the Howard Stern show. That dude is freaking insane.
That's kind of
funniest
what you can expect. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, he's not like, I don't mean insane like a wrestler or like insane like a good character. I mean like, I think he's literally insane.
Yeah, I don't think he's all there.
Is he really Arab?
Really
or is he,
like that?
Is he
he's
just really
really truly like that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do the top 5.
Okay, top 5 wrestlers.
Rockstar start.
Rockstar start.
All right, number 5. I would think that everything that this guy did was absolutely perfect. So I would have to say number 5, Mr. Perfect.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Pretty good one. Perfect Plex.
Yeah.
Perfect Plex. Yeah.
He's dead.
He's one of the examples of the wrestlers that passed away long before their time.
Are we going to name people that aren't? Can you think we can name someone who's not wrestling now and still alive?
There's a lot of them.
well, we'll see. Well, who's your number 5?
I guess I'll go with. I'll go with Ric Flair.
Ric Flair. Okay,
that's a good.
Mine. He did wrestle a few times. He was more a sideline guy. The Mouth of the South.
Wow. Yeah. Great.
With the megaphone, screamed in everyone's face.
Jimmy Hart. Yeah.
Love Jimmy Hart.
That's a good one.
And he wrestled Andy Kaufman.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Number 4.
Number 4. I would say that he was very, very flamboyant and also had a beard. And when you heard, ooh, yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
That'd be my number 4.
I'm going to say someone who I think he's up there with Martin Luther King. Probably in the opposite direction, but the Junkyard Dog.
Wow.
He was in that 80s cartoon.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Rock and Wrestling. What was it called?
I don't even know what it was called. It something like that. Somebody in the chat room saying The Undertaker. Which
The Undertaker's a pretty good one, too.
Yeah, The Undertaker is
a good one. It's a good one, though.
This is probably more nostalgia because after seeing the documentary, I realized he wasn't really that great. But Ultimate Warrior.
Well, I gotta see that documentary.
Yeah, no, he's not a surprise to be in the top 5. I'm pretty impressed with the Junkyard Dog reference, though.
Yeah, that was good.
I gotta say, before we even go to number 3, one of my favorite wrestling moments from when I was a kid was when it was Dino Bravo representing Canada versus Bret the Hitman Hart representing the USA, and they'd scream like USA for Bret the Hitman Hart, who's from Canada, and they'd boo Dino Bravo because he's from Canada. And I was like, these guys probably grew up next to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, this is the dumbest audio thing ever.
Yeah.
No, neither was from the South, so
right.
Yeah,
everyone gets booed.
It's a great actually way to like learn history, just figuring out who the bad guys in wrestling were.
Yeah, well, I love the Uber.
There's usually like that whole Sergeant Slaughter thing when he did that whole turn and started supporting the Iraqi during the first Iraqi war there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then Hacksaw Jim Duggan stepped up for the USA.
Yep. carrying the flag and the 2x4.
I miss the days of the uber racist wrestlers. They had the Nikolai Volkov, and everyone was just like such a stereotype.
There was a guy
Ted
who
DiBiase. Go.
very, very little. He wasn't very well known, but Colonel De Beers was hands down the most racist wrestler.
Colonel De Beers?
I don't even know who that one is.
He was booked as being from South Africa, and he claimed to be a slave owner in South Africa.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, wasn't that Ted DiBiase who actually had the slave working for him?
He did actually have a slave, and I think he still works for him today. So.
Oh, my God. Was it Virgil?
Virgil, yeah. They gave him the name of like out of like some slaves, like out of slavery, basically.
Oh, my God.
Virgil was actually one of the characters in the movie Roots. So I think that's where that came from.
Yeah, I was thinking, why did they call him Toby?
Roots Volume 6.
Number 3.
Number 3, I'm going to have to go with someone who I know very well and somebody who taught me the art of psychology and I think was probably the most devious wrestler and showed that you didn't have to yell or become angry to be scary. That's Jake the Snake Roberts.
Nice.
Oh, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, he was good. He had the DDT, right?
Yeah, he was the inventor of the DDT. He actually invented that move.
So it turns out the DDT, if you do it in real life, it's not a good thing to do.
Yeah, I learned most of these moves in real life. I tried to give somebody a pile driver once. That did not work out so well.
Freshman year of high school, I was on the football team, and we like had this drill where the coach would like toss the football from like we're on a hill, like toss it at the bottom of the hill, and you guys run down there, and whoever gets up the hill with the football wins, and you're supposed to beat the crap out of each other to get up the hill, I guess, without actually like hitting each other. So I DDT'd this kid who was a little bit smaller than me. The paramedics came.
Oh, yeah.
He had like something called like a neck stinger. He actually couldn't move, and he had to wear this thing around his brace around his neck for like weeks.
I'm actually going to tell that story to Jake the Snake Roberts.
I wonder how many injuries like that happen a year where people try and mimic moves. I found out I was this close to exploding my buddy's knees because I got him in a figure 4 leg lock. And if you leave that in long enough, knees really do explode. And,
right.
I mean, to be fair, in my case, he was wearing a helmet. We were wearing like in pads and stuff. I
Wait,
realized
so you gave him a DDT with a helmet, and he still had to get the paramedics called?
They came and he had a real injury. Yeah.
I'm going to tell Jake the Snake Roberts, and that will just justify that is a legit move.
Exactly.
So my number 3, I gotta say, he could be number 1. I think I'm surprised. I'd be amazed if he's not on your guys' list.
Okay.
And he also was in a fantastic movie, which I cannot remember the name of. Rowdy Piper.
Wow, Rowdy Piper. Yeah.
All right.
He was in some movie where they saw aliens. If you put on special glasses.
They Live, it's called.
Yeah, that's an
Nice.
awesome
And
movie.
what I like about the movie They Live is at the very end of the movie, you know how usually the hero wins everything. In the movie They Live, he goes up the stairs to get ready for this big dramatic finish, and somebody shoots him on the stairs, and that's the end of the movie.
Nice. I gotta get that. I'm sure it's on Netflix.
Quality film. I actually have a pair of sunglasses that I think I can see aliens with, and I
don't know. I feel like if you're wrestling long enough, you probably think you see aliens.
yeah.
Number 3?
My number 3 is Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
That is a good one.
Ever since I was a little kid, I don't know. I just thought he was awesome, pissing people off, chopping their hair off. He only fought, ironically, wrestlers with really long hair.
Yeah, well, he did get a snippet of mine. He does have a snippet of the Rockstars' hair.
Does he?
And he still owes me $1,000 because my hair costs $1,000 a strand, and he did snip some. So.
Your hair costs $1,000 a strand?
Well,
$1,000 a strand.
You know what? I guess next time you wrestle him, you're going to have to,
You don't grow your own, then, I guess.
Well, it's no. I'm going to steal his wallet probably next time. I think he keeps it in his fishnet tights.
Let's see. What, number 2, right?
Number 2.
Number 2. Now, number 2 is someone that you guys will both be familiar with, and he only recently retired, and he kind of transcended the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and still was on top of the game. He started out as a rocker, and then became the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Oh, yeah. That guy's a legend.
Yeah.
I was a big fan in the 80s and in the 90s, and I know my little brother, who's 13 years old, was a fan.
Was he a British Bulldog?
British Bulldog.
Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty?
He was weird, because I remember when I was really younger, he was like he was a wrestler. Like, he was like not that big of a guy, like just physically.
Right.
And then like 5 years later, he came back,
and he was huge.
A house.
Yeah.
He did a lot of training naturally, of course, and
Did his
ate a
heart
lot of
naturally give
fish
out?
chips.
So my number 2.
Yes.
This one is based completely, has nothing to do with his wrestling ability. I don't remember him even being that good a wrestler, but I like his nickname. It's probably one of my favorite nicknames. Akeem the African Dream.
Oh my God.
You're gonna put Akeem as number 2?
Yeah, why not? It's not an official list.
Okay.
Fuck cares.
Well, that's probably the only number 2 list he's ever been on.
Akeem the
Yeah, I don't think he's ever made any list in his life, but.
Wow, I'm surprised you even remember that one.
And the funny thing about Akeem, he's from Detroit, and his name he was once known as the One Man Gang, and shortly after became the African Dream Akeem. And I thought there was always something a little racist about that.
Yeah, a little bit.
A big fat white guy trying to play a bearded black man. Really, I don't know.
It doesn't beat the Ted DiBiase, but
All the 80s wrestlers were racist.
yeah.
That's what gave it its charm.
Right.
Like Hillbilly Jim. That was pretty racist, too.
Yeah.
My number 2, you guys actually took my number 1 and number 2. So my number 2 is Roddy Piper.
Well,
Okay.
Anticlimactic.
That's a pretty good one.
I might as well do my number 1 because you guys already took
I'm just
it.
trying not to choose. I haven't made my list till just now. I'm trying to choose people you haven't said.
Oh, that's why you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel there? My number 1 was Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay.
No.
What's
That's a good one. That is a good one.
What's your number 1?
Well, my number 1 has inspired kids all over the world to say their prayers, train, and eat their vitamins.
Wait, let me guess. Is this Junkyard Dog also?
It's the immortal, the legendary Hulk Hogan.
I haven't heard of this one. Can you tell me more about it?
He got bumped from my list for Jerry Hart.
Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart, sorry.
My
I don't
number
even know his
1
real
is
name.
actually a tie, which doesn't make sense because that would mean one that would be number 2. But my tie is between Jimmy Superfly Snuka and Coco Beware.
You're so full of shit.
How do you not love?
Who were the most quality wrestlers? I'm glad that you brought those names up. Actually,
Mark just did a top 5 funniest wrestling names. He misunderstood our little thing going here.
I don't know how that didn't even become like a marketing thing where like you have Coco Beware with your milk.
That's good.
Does Snuka or Coco Beware still wrestle?
Actually, both of them do.
Wow.
Coco Beware, if you didn't know better, you would think he was a pregnant black woman.
He was black?
Yeah, dude.
He was actually, I think, the only popular black wrestler of the 1980s.
That guy was like a negative.
I would say Virgil was very popular.
Yeah.
What about Junkyard Dog?
He was popular, but he actually died in the 80s, so he wasn't very...
He died in the 80s?
Yeah, he died in the mid to late 80s. The late 80s he died in.
I was wondering why he disappeared.
Yeah, I was like, wow, his career's really gone downhill since he died.
Yeah. Thought that cartoon would have boosted his sales a little bit.
Quite. But Superfly Jimmy Snuka still wrestles, and he's a sad caricature of what he used to be.
What about Rick Sammartino?
Bruno Sammartino?
No, the brother Rick. No, Bruno. Yeah, obviously.
Bruno Sammartino's probably about 75, so no, he's not.
Yeah, that would.
I mean, could still be wrestling. I just don't think it would go over very well.
Is Bobby the Brain Heenan still around?
He's still alive. He's actually very sick, but he's behind the scenes, and he does a lot of like the booking and promoting for WWE.
Hey, would you vote if you lived in Connecticut? Would you vote for Vince McMahon's wife for Senate?
Probably, if there was something in it for me, yeah. Then there's always the thought that you could possibly body slam some of the other members of Senate. So I mean, yeah, I'm gonna vote for it.
I have a question for you. So you said Macho Man, like that's probably one of your favorites, right?
Yes.
So if you had a choice, would you rather beat Macho Man in a match or have sex with Miss Elizabeth?
Now?
Not when she's like an 85-year-old corpse. I mean, like back then.
Back then, I would definitely go with Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Macho Man was scary back in the day.
Yeah.
What's the best match you've ever seen?
The best match I've ever seen?
Yeah.
1987. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Probably not the best actual match, but the build-up and everything that it meant at the time was
that was WrestleMania, right?
WrestleMania 3.
Yep.
Andre the Giant, who was, everybody's hero, turned bad with the help of Bobby the Brain Heenan, and went after Hulk Hogan to try to get the WWF Heavyweight Championship.
I hated Bobby the Brain so much. I was so into it back then. I would start screaming at the TV.
You know who I loved? Rick Rude.
Yeah, all the
Ravishing
Ravishing
Rick
one.
Rude.
Yeah.
Was that the guy who did like the hip dance?
Yeah,
And what he would do was he would pull chicks out of the audience and make out with them. So he had a pretty good gig.
That's right. Yeah.
So, are you single, married, have a girlfriend?
I'm single.
So,
and
does wrestling
my
get
thing
you?
is I'm going to pull girls out of the audience since you brought up Rick Rude, and I'm going to make out with audience members.
Does wrestling get you girls at all?
Oh, totally, dude. Totally.
We have a chat room question saying, how many chicks do you bang after each match?
After each match?
You don't have to answer that if you don't want to. But,
Okay, I'll leave it into a mystery. But it's less than 10 and more than 9.
What number are you going for? How do you do a half a girl?
Paraplegics.
Actually, I couldn't really get it up after the 9th one, so we just kind of roll around in my baby oil and sweat on each other, so I kind of count that as well.
Just lick her face.
And discuss
Counts
feelings.
half, yeah.
I give her what I like to refer to as George the Animal Steel.
That's a good one.
You just read to her from Penthouse forums.
Which this is actually a kind of more serious question. Which bushwhacker was smarter?
Well, normally I would think that it would be Luke, but after he bit the armpit repeatedly of Butch, there's really no telling.
By the way, we forgot a great wrestler also. Did not on our list. It should have been on one of our lists.
Here we go.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who is still wrestling in WWE to this day. He's the oldest current actual wrestler on the roster.
He's got to be pushing 60, right?
He's up there, and he's not the best looking,
Well, he never was.
Doesn't have the best looking physique.
Even as a kid, I thought he was retarded.
Right. Well, I think he might still be a little.
Does he take a different piece of wood from every town, or does he bring the same one?
In New York, he has to have a license.
They actually every 2x4 is a different 2x4 from town to town. So it's up to the promoter to get him a new 2x4 for each show. And actually, in some of the towns, they had to get special permits for 2x4s.
Do you guys have a don't ask, don't tell policy in wrestling?
We have an open door policy, and I mean, if someone is putting baby oil on me and their hands get a little, move around a little bit to the wrong side, I mean, that's heavily frowned upon in my section of the locker room.
On that note, I think. Do you have any more questions? I think we're.
I mean, I could go on and ask him questions like all day, but I think I'll let him get back to his actual life. When's your next match?
The next match is September 11th at Center Island Sports in Ronkonkoma, New York, and I'm fighting one half of the FTW Tag Team Champions, the Weed Man Tommy Buds.
Nice. Is this in honor of the troops?
Yes.
And by the way, is there I just wanted not the Rockstar image sounds like a pretty good one, but I'm gonna throw this out there. If you want to steal it, please do. Subprime mortgage guy. Everyone hates him.
Yeah,
that's who he's wrestling next week. Actually,
right. That I do have a match coming up against a mortgage broker soon. So
yeah, you could be like in the matches, instead of like actually fighting the guy, you'd be like, I gave him an adjustable rate mortgage. He's fucked.
So your band is Mad Yellow Sun.
Mad Yellow Sun, and we're playing in New York at Sullivan Hall, September 15th.
All right.
Do you guys really like have a battle of the bands?
We do have a battle of the bands, and we finish by hitting each other over the head with our instruments and such.
Sweet. Thanks for joining us. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having me, guys.
It's been very cool. Thank you so much. We're going to play your song. So that's Mad Yellow Sun.
If people wanted to download your song, where would they go?
they can go to myspace.com/MadYellowSun or Facebook Mad Yellow Sun.
I will also put a link on the forums, so feel free to update whenever you have a show, or whenever your band's doing a show as well. I'll be more than happy to promote it.
Well, I really appreciate that, guys.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for joining us, and maybe come back sometime. Let us know
will do
when you're the champ.
Yeah. Let us know next time you're gonna fight, and come back sometime.
I will certainly do that. Thank you so much, guys.
Later, man.
Later.